If I told you there was one skill that could help you get promoted faster, reduce conflict at work, build stronger relationships with your boss, your team, and your clients, and make you look like an absolute rock star in meetings, you'd want in, right? Well, that skill is communication. But here's the truth: most people think they're better communicators than they actually are. Today, I'm giving you my top 5 workplace communication tools distilled from more than 3 decades of working with organizations, leaders, and teams. These aren't fluffy tips you've heard a million times before. These are evidence based strategies that will help you connect, collaborate, and get the results you want without any workplace drama. So stay tuned. Hello, welcome to Workplace Therapy with me, Dr. Abby Metcalf. So let's jump in. I've got a lot of great tools for you today to just help you, 5 great tools to really help you communicate like a rock star. So here we go. The first, tool 1, is mindfulness and self-regulation. You know, if you think of your attention like a jug of water, every distraction, every stressor, every notification it's poking a hole in that jug. It's draining the water until you've got nothing left to pour into your conversations. So mindfulness, or we also call it attention training, you're learning to train your attention. Mindfulness is the act of noticing what you're thinking and feeling without judgment. It's non-judgmental. And mindfulness really plugs those holes. And this is, again, from the research. This isn't just sort of woo or anything else. There's been a lot of research on being more mindful. When you're mindful, you notice your stress rising in a meeting before you snap back with sarcasm. You realize you're zoning out on a Zoom call, and you will bring yourself back before missing something critical. You're going to catch yourself interrupting someone before you actually do it. You don't need to meditate for an hour to see the benefits of mindfulness. Even 30 seconds, even less, even 18 seconds before a tough conversation, slowing your breathing, noticing your body, setting your focus, setting your intention can shift you from reactive to responsive. So, and I'm going to tell you that in the workplace, that shift is the difference between being the person who escalates conflict and being the person who resolves it. I'm going to give you a great download for today's episode, to take this into action, but there is a free mindfulness starter kit on my website. And it'll be linked below the video and everywhere else. If you haven't yet, it's time. Okay. It's time. Okay. Tool number 2, choosing to be effective, not correct. So being right is intoxicating. Your coworker really should send those reports on time. I know. Your manager should give you more notice before a deadline. You are right. But if you've been complaining for weeks and nothing has changed, congratulations. You're right, but you're also stuck. When you focus on being right, the other person has to be wrong. And I'm telling you right now, collaboration dies. Effectiveness is about stepping back and asking, what outcome do I actually want here? Maybe it's getting the report earlier. Maybe it's building trust so your boss includes you in planning sooner. It could be a lot of things. Those goals require a different strategy than proving someone wrong. You know this is true. I always say to ask yourself, do I want to be correct or do I want to be effective? Because you can't be both. You can't be both. You can be right all day, but if you're not getting the outcome you want or need, you're not being very effective. You can cling to your rightness, or you can create good solutions, right? Get creative about solutions. But you can't do both. I used to ask people, do you want to be right or happy, right? And people say, I want to be both. You can't. You're going to have to, but I like right and happy is different to me than being correct or effective. So choose wisely, my wonderful, wonderful friend. One of the things I think about sometimes is, how do I want to feel at the end of this conversation? That helps me direct it. And how do I want the other person to feel at the end of this conversation? Do I want them to feel shamed? Really? Is that because that's what you're doing when you point out how wrong they are? Do you want them to feel angry and resentful? That's what you're doing. So if I want them to feel collaborative, if I want them to feel connected to me, any of that stuff, guess what? I'm going to be approaching them differently. So do you want to be correct or do you want to be effective? Make a good choice. Tool 3 is to set intentions before you speak. I call this the 18-second shift because that's all it takes. I've timed it. I know, crazy. I timed it like 100 times. I took an average. Don't even ask. But 18 seconds. If you don't have 18 seconds, I can't help you. That is all it takes to set a positive intention before you walk into a meeting or sit down to the Zoom or start a conversation. People notice even if you don't say your intention out loud because you show up differently. I have talked about the research from Dr. Timothy Wilson many, many times. I have a crush on a intellectual crush on Dr. Wilson. From his research, we know that our conscious brains process information at a rate of 40 bits per second, while our subconscious brains process information at a rate of 11 million bits per second. So people don't hear what you say, they hear what you mean. And this is the reason someone can say all the right things to you, but you're in your head thinking this person is full of crap, right? Because they're talking with those 40 bits, but you're receiving with your 11 million bits. Well, and the same happens to others when you're speaking to them. They can tell if you resent them or if you respect them. So by setting intention, you're aligning those 40 and 11 million bits, right? So before that performance review, maybe your intention is, I want to leave this meeting with clarity and a plan for growth. Okay, there you go. Before a team brainstorm, it might be, I want everyone to feel heard and to be actively engaged. And you can set intentions out loud. I like that too. To start a meeting or anything with, I'd like us to leave with 3 concrete next steps that you feel really bought into. I don't need advice right now, just a sounding board. It's my intention that everyone leaves this meeting feeling heard and valued, right? It's a quick reset that keeps you focused on what's wanted instead of what's wrong. And it really reduces the chance that you'll drift into sort of unproductive territory. So it's incredibly helpful. 18 seconds. Come on now. Got to do it. Tool number 4 for really effective communication is what I say, don't sack the conversation, SAC. SAC stands for don't offer suggestions, give advice, or criticize. Now, at work, most people think they're being helpful when they jump in with, oh, have you tried? Or here's what I would do. But if you're really looking at your audience, you realize that shuts people down. Or they go, okay, but they're really not bought in because they haven't been part of that decision or part of that plan. So instead, you want to affirm and ask what I call are collaborative questions or open-ended questions. So when you're having any conversation, and I'm really going to task you with trying to have a conversation where you do not make a statement and you only ask questions. And I'm telling you, it's hard to do. And it's so great. It's such a great practice to really be an effective communicator. Could you tell me more about the challenge you're running into instead of solutions? Just, hey, could you tell me more about that? That's my favorite. What options have you considered so far? So what have you thought about so far? What have you tried that hasn't worked? What have you tried that has worked? And tell me where it got stuck, right? Do you see? People love to tell you, by the way, what hasn't worked. That's a great way to get a conversation moving. Is there anything you need from me right now? These are all open-ended collaborative questions. And when you stop defaulting to advice, you signal trust in the other person's competence, and you really create space for better ideas. I know you think you have all the best ideas, but you don't. Okay, you don't. It also keeps you from accidentally sounding like a micromanager, which is especially important if you're, let's say, leading a team or anything. So, because you have to remember, you can't give anyone an aha. They need to create their own takeaways. And the only way they're going to do that is if you ask them questions so that they can come up with those, answers and responses. And you might be surprised at what people come up with. Sometimes it really is better than what you thought if you go in with an open mind. And that really brings me to tool 5, which is to go into every conversation trying to learn something, not prove something. All right. go into every conversation trying to learn something, not prove something. If you enter a conversation with the goal of proving your point, you'll spend the whole time defending your position instead of actually listening. And real communication happens when you get curious about why someone sees things the way they do. You've got to understand that first. And that this doesn't mean you abandon your perspective. It doesn't mean anything's wrong. It means you gather all the information first so you can respond in a way that addresses the real issue. And you might discover the problem isn't what you thought. I can't tell you how many people come back to me with that this one really, again, changes the game or that there's a third option maybe neither of you had even considered that you couldn't even think of. So, and in workplace terms, this is how you build credibility. People trust you when they feel heard, even if you don't agree with them. And I'm going to say this, trust is the currency of influence. I'm going to say that again. Trust is the currency of influence. And this is how you build it. You want to listen like you're wrong. When you listen like you're wrong, you'll open up amazing conversations with real communication. You'll be so surprised. I'm going to wrap up by saying this. Communication at work isn't about mastering some magic script. It's about mastering yourself. It's about mastering your focus, your intentions, your curiosity. So you create space for others to do their best thinking and you create space for collaboration. So I want you to pick one of these tools and start using it in your next meeting. I'm telling you right now, you're going to be surprised how quickly people respond differently to you. And when they do, your influence, your reputation, and your opportunities are going to grow. I'm telling you that. So I always include something I call putting today's lesson into action. And you do that by, you can get the free download for today, which is I call it the Workplace Conversation Prep Card. It's a one-page cheat sheet with the 5 tools that I just mentioned, but it also has some quick prompts to set your intention, to check your mindset, to choose your approach, before any kind of important conversation. So there you go. That's it for today. As always, you can find the corresponding blog for this episode on the website, abbymetcalf.com. It's not a transcript, it's an actual blog. So lots of notes, lots of links to the research, et cetera, that I name, to past episodes that might help you get deeper on a topic. And if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe, and you can see below the video all the links and everything I talked about. All right, have an amazing week, and I'll talk to you real soon.